Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really thrilled you've pulled up a chair to join us today
Yeah, it's great to have you here with us.
because we are looking at something you are probably already, deeply familiar with, but perhaps you haven't examined it from this particular angle.
Right.
You know the source material. It's Richard Connell's legendary short story, The Most Dangerous Game.
Oh, classic.
Exactly. Well, you know the plot, the island, the hunt. But our mission today isn't to just rehash a classic adventure tale.
No, definitely not.
We want to bring you into a conversation about the profound, unsettling psychological shift at the very center of this text. We're going to examine the philosophy of a man who is entirely comfortable sitting at the absolute top of the food chain, and what happens to his worldview when he is suddenly violently forced to the bottom of it.
It really is a text that rewards a second closer look. Because when you strip away the pulse-pounding mechanics of the chase, you are left with a deeply uncomfortable exploration of elite entitlement and the fragility of morality. It's this incredibly thin line separating high civilization from primal savagery. It forces you to look at the very concept of being civilized and ask if it's, anything more than an illusion.
Absolutely. And Connell establishes that illusion brilliantly right from the opening scene.
He really does.
You remember the setup on the yacht? Sanger Rainsford, the wealthy, celebrated New York big game hunter, chatting with his companion Whitney as they sail toward the Amazon.
Right, they're heading for a jaguar hunt.
Yeah, but reading it again, what really stands out isn't the ominous atmosphere of the blood-warm waters of the Caribbean Sea, or that the night is like moist black velvet.
Such a great description, by the way.
It is. But it's not the setting that strikes you. It's the sheer undisturbed arrogance in Rainsford's voice.
Yes, that conversation is the philosophical anchor for the entire narrative. Because Whitney poses a very basic, empathetic thought. He suggests that the jaguars they're going to hunt probably experience fear, specifically the fear of pain and the fear of death.
And Rainsford's reaction is incredibly telling.
Oh, totally.
He doesn't just disagree. He genuinely laughs at the concept of animal empathy. His worldview is rigidly binary. He actually says the world is made up of two classes, the hunters and the huntees.
The hunters and the huntees.
Right. And he says, luckily, you and I are hunters. It's such a pristine example of aristocratic detachment.
Yeah, it's the ultimate rationalist perspective, completely devoid of empathy.
Exactly.
Rainsford views his dominance not as a privilege, but as a fundamental law of nature. And Whitney tries to point out that even the crew is jumpy, that there seems to be a tangible malevolence broadcasting from Ship Trap Island.
The ominously named Ship Trap Island.
Right, but Rainsford just waves it off as pure superstition. He is so insulated by his worldview that he believes he's untouchable.
Which makes the inciting incident so symbolically perfect.
Oh, it's brilliant.
He's lounging on the deck, smoking his favorite briar pipe, completely relaxed in his dominion over the world. And then he hears 3 mysterious gunshots in the dark distance.
Just off in the blackness.
Yeah. He jumps on the rail to see, knocks his pipe out of his mouth, lunges forward.
And he falls.
He falls. He literally and figuratively plummets from his pedestal into the dark churning sea, and the yacht just speeds away, taking all of his civilized comforts and structural power with it.
The transition is immediate and brutal. He's stripped of his title, his weapons, his status. He's forced to swim toward the very gunshots he'd just heard.
Guided only by the terrifying sound of an animal in absolute agony, abruptly silenced by a pistol shot.
Exactly. And when he finally drags himself onto the jagged rocks of the island, he isn't Sanger Rainsford, the celebrated author, anymore. He's just another exhausted mammal clinging to survival.
And yet, his civilized logic still drives him.
It does.
He wakes up the next day, and what does he find? Crushed jungle weeds, a blood-stained patch of moss, and an empty .22 caliber cartridge.
A hunting rifle cartridge.
Right. So he deduces that where there are guns, there are men, and where there are men, there is food. But the setting he stumbles into completely shatters his logical expectations.
Because you would expect a rugged hunting camp, given the brutal evidence on the shoreline. But instead, Connell presents us with this staggering architectural dissonance.
Yes.
Rainsford finds an enormous palatial chateau looming over the sea, complete with pointed towers.
And that leering gargoyle knocker.
The gargoyle knocker is such a great detail.
It really is. It's
Yeah.
essentially announcing that the monsters here live in castles, not caves.
Wow, yeah.
And the dissonance only deepens when he gets inside. We all remember his introduction to Ivan,
The gigantic black-bearded Cossack.
holding a revolver directly to Rainsford's heart.
Right. And it's noted that Ivan is deaf and dumb, and described as a bit of a savage.
And then General Zaroff appears.
The introduction of Zaroff is a masterclass in establishing cognitive dissonance. You have this striking, cultivated, handsome man.
White hair, but those pitch-black eyebrows and mustache.
Yes. And he instantly recognizes Rainsford from his books, specifically a book Rainsford wrote about hunting snow leopards in Tibet.
Right, welcoming him not as a trespasser, but as an esteemed colleague. The contrast between the savage jungle outside and the extreme luxury inside is just mind-boggling.
It really is.
I mean, they eat rich borscht, they drink fine champagne, they wear clothes tailored in London,
Right.
and they sit among these spectacular mounted animal heads. Zaroff actually claims, "We do our best to preserve the amenities of civilization here."
The irony is profoundly disturbing. Zaroff uses the trappings of high society to mask the absolute barbarism of his existence.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
Because Zaroff's backstory is where the real philosophical horror of this text takes root.
It's a dark turn.
Very. Over dinner, Zaroff explains his history. He was a hunting prodigy, an officer of the Tsar who left Russia after the debacle.
He had immense wealth.
Right. And he used it to hunt every big game animal on Earth. Grizzlies, crocodiles, rhinos, jaguars, he conquered them all. But then he became bored.
He achieved perfection. And as he puts it, there is no greater bore than perfection.
Which is such a chilling line.
It is. The core problem for Zaroff was that instinct is no match for reason. Animal tracks became too easy for him to read. To cure his boredom, Zaroff had to invent a new animal to hunt.
One with courage, cunning, and the ability to reason.
Exactly.
When Rainsford realizes what Zaroff is talking about, he's absolutely horrified. He calls it cold-blooded murder.
And what's fascinating here is Zaroff's reaction. He doesn't get defensive. He laughs.
He finds it amusing.
Yes. He calls Rainsford's views mid-Victorian and Puritan. It's pure social Darwinism. Zaroff's chilling philosophy is simply, life is for the strong, to be lived by the strong, and if needs be, taken by the strong.
It completely paralyzes Rainsford's moral high ground. Because Zaroff has just taken the exact logic Rainsford used on the yacht regarding the jaguars and applying it to the human species.
Zaroff agrees that the world is divided into hunters and huntees. He has just redefined the parameters of the huntee.
It's incredible. And Zaroff isn't interested in debating it forever. He wants to play the game. He outlines the rules. He gives his prey hunting clothes, food, a knife, and a 3-hour head start. If they survive for 3 days, they win.
And when Rainsford demands to leave, Zaroff just forces him to be the next prey.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Rainsford's first night in the jungle is a total psychological shift.
It really is.
Initially, he runs in pure panic, just mindless terror. But slowly, he tries to play the fox, weaving this intricate, trackless trail before hiding up in a massive tree.
Thinking he's safe.
Right. But dawn breaks, and we get that visceral moment where Zaroff flawlessly tracks Rainsford in the dark.
It's terrifying. Zaroff walks right up to the tree.
His eyes slowly travel out the trunk, but they stop just short of Rainsford. He doesn't look him in the eye. Zaroff just smiles, deliberately blows a smoke ring, and walks away.
Which is sheer psychological warfare.
Totally.
By doing that, Rainsford realizes Zaroff is playing with him. He's saving him for another day's sport. And that's when Rainsford finally understands the absolute terror of the huntee, the exact terror Whitney warned him about on the yacht.
His aristocratic insulation is completely gone. But to his credit, Rainsford uses that fear. He fights back over the next 2 days, using traps he learned from his global travels.
The escalation here is fantastic.
Yeah. First, he builds the Malay Mancatcher. It's this delicately adjusted, falling dead tree.
Zaroff leaps back just in time, but it still injures his shoulder.
And Zaroff leaves to dress the wound, actually mocking Rainsford with congratulations.
It's still a gentleman's sport to him.
Then we get trap number 2. Rainsford flees to the death swamp. He digs a Burmese tiger pit, a deep hole with sharpened stakes at the bottom, covered by a rough carpet of weeds.
Desperate work.
Very. Zaroff comes with a flashlight, and the pit claims one of Zaroff's best hunting dogs.
Which brings us to the third day. Zaroff drops the gentlemanly facade and brings his whole pack of hounds, led by Ivan.
So Rainsford is out of options. He rigs trap number 3. He ties his knife to a springy young sapling using a wild grapevine, a trick he learned in Uganda.
And it misses Zaroff, but it kills Ivan.
Right. But the hounds are still closing in. Rainsford runs until he reaches a cliff. The sea is rumbling below, and he leaps 20 feet down into the water.
By jumping, he's totally rejecting the parameters of Zaroff's game.
Yeah, and Zaroff assumes he has won. He figures the sea finished the job. He takes a drink of brandy and literally hums a tune from Madame Butterfly.
He just retreats right back into his civilized delusion.
Exactly. So Zaroff returns to the chateau, has a great dinner, reads Marcus Aurelius in his library.
Which is wildly ironic.
Very.
Huh?
And then he goes up to his locked bedroom. He turns on the light, and there is the twist. He finds Rainsford hiding in the bed curtains.
He didn't drown.
No, he swam across the cove because it was, quote, quicker than walking through the jungle.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Rainsford's final transformation is complete here.
How so?
Well, Zaroff is shocked, but then he tries to reestablish the civilized boundaries. He congratulates Rainsford on winning the game.
Like a sportsman.
Right. But Rainsford refuses to accept the civilized end to the sport. He growls, "I am still a beast at bay."
The veneer of the civilized author is completely gone.
Entirely.
So they prepare to fight to the death. The story brilliantly doesn't show the actual fight, but ends with that chilling line. He had never slept in a better bed, Rainsford decided.
It leaves the door wide open.
So what does this all mean? We started out looking at a man on a yacht, arrogantly dividing the world into hunters and the hunted.
Blind to the empathy of the prey.
Exactly. We watched him lose all his power, face the horrifying extreme of his own worldview in Zaroff, and use primal tactics to survive.
This raises an important question for you to consider about the very nature of civilization. Is our morality, our empathy, our rule of law, are they permanent fixtures of the human soul?
Or just a luxury.
Right. Are they just a set of bespoke clothes we eagerly strip off the exact moment the hounds are unleashed? The text argues that underneath the champagne, the primal beast is always waiting.
And that leaves you with one final, deeply unsettling thought to mull over. Rainsford won. He killed Zaroff. But if he found the ultimate comfort in Zaroff's bed after killing him, did he just defeat the monster, or did he become the monster?
That's the real horror of the ending.
Will Rainsford return to New York, or will he wake up the next morning as the new master of Shiptrap Island, ready to hunt the next sailor who washes ashore?
It's a dark thought to leave on.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.